Did you know that nearly 1 in 5 Americans are thinking of packing up and moving abroad? That's right, 20% of the population. And before you go diving into Google to find out where the best beaches are in Bali or the coolest expat hubs in Europe, stick with me for a second. Today we're asking a big question. Is America still the best country to live in? I mean, it used to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, right? But things are changing fast. So grab your passport just in case and hit that like button if you're curious about how the US stacks up today. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe for more insightful breakdowns. We're diving in deep, so stay tuned. Let's start with a little reality check. The United States has long been known for its innovation, economy, and global influence. But did you know that in recent years it's slipped in some key areas? The US used to sit proudly at the top of global rankings for quality of life, but in 2023, it didn't even crack the top 10 in the United Nations Human Development Index. Imagine that. 20 years ago, you wouldn't even bat an eye if someone told you the US was number 1 in healthcare, education, and overall happiness. But today, not so much. In fact, despite having the world's largest economy, the US ranks poorly on health and life expectancy. And don't get me started on the healthcare system. Ever tried to get a simple prescription filled and noticed your bank account suddenly emptying itself? Yeah, I feel you. So what's the deal? Well, while we're still living in the land of opportunity, not everyone's opportunities are created equal. The growing wealth gap, skyrocketing healthcare costs, and a once reliable education system now facing some major challenges make it a bit less clear-cut. Let's talk about freedom, because come on, that's what America's all about, right? But hold up. Have things started to get a little more restrictive? Sure, we have our right to speak out, but what about personal freedoms? Take a look at the current state of gun control, which has been a hot-button issue for years. The US has one of the highest rates of gun ownership in the world, and with it, one of the highest rates of gun violence. Recent mass shootings continue to spark debates about safety versus rights. But freedom is a double-edged sword. With so many rights and freedoms in place, navigating them can feel like trying to drive on a busy freeway with no speed limits. There's always someone on your tail, and you never know when you'll hit a bump in the road. So, while Americans do enjoy freedoms that many around the world envy, there's still a question of how sustainable that freedom really is in today's society. Be sure to buckle up for those ride or die debates. Now let's get into the economy. Ah yes, the almighty dollar. The US economy is undeniably massive. We're talking about a global powerhouse that still leads the world in technology, innovation, and finance. But here's the catch. The gap between the wealthy and the rest of us has grown faster than a viral TikTok dance. While the rich get richer, middle-class wages have stagnated, and the cost of living has hit record highs. Let's not forget about inflation. Everyone's favorite word lately, right? It's making things like buying a home, paying off student loans, and even grabbing lunch feel like an Olympic sport. For most of us, the dream of financial freedom feels more like a distant fantasy. And when it comes to housing, well, if you're looking for a house in California for under $1 million, good luck with that. Speaking of California, let's talk about the environment, because it's not just the real estate market that's in trouble. We've all seen the news about the wildfires, hurricanes, and droughts that are becoming more frequent and severe. Climate change is hitting the United States hard, and it's leaving many residents questioning how much longer they can stick around in areas that are becoming increasingly difficult to live in. Take places like California, where wildfires rage almost every summer, or Florida, where rising sea levels are threatening coastal cities. If you live in these areas, you might find yourself doing a mental calculation on whether your home insurance will cover the next natural disaster. So, is America still the best place to live if your backyard could be burned or flooded in the next few years? The answer? Well, it's complicated. Let's switch gears a bit and talk about healthcare. Ah yes, the health system in the United States, the one that leaves people shaking their heads. While you can get some of the best medical treatment in the world, the cost can leave your wallet feeling like it just went through a blender. Recent stats show that the United States spends more on healthcare than any other country, yet it ranks 37th in the world for healthcare outcomes. That means, while we've got top-tier hospitals and medical research, our health outcomes don't quite match up. People are forced to choose between paying for health insurance and paying their rent. How does that make sense? So, when you're thinking about living in the United States, it's not just about the quality of life, it's also about whether you can afford to be healthy in the first place. Education. A biggie, right? The American education system has always been seen as the gold standard. But let's be real, things are a bit shaky. While there are still some fantastic universities, student loan debt has become a burden that many can't shake off, with average debt amounts topping $30,000. And don't even get me started on the cost of a 4-year degree. You might end up paying for a degree in philosophy that costs more than your future home. And if you're not going to college? Well, good luck navigating a job market that increasingly requires specialized skills, even for entry-level positions. It's like trying to get on a roller coaster with no clue how to buckle in. Chaos is ahead. Let's talk about safety. In some areas of the United States, safety is something you can take for granted. But for millions, especially in inner-city areas, crime rates remain a constant concern. Gun violence and gang-related activity can make certain neighborhoods feel like they're in a constant state of danger. For those who live in safer areas, it's easy to forget the challenges people in other places are facing. And while you're walking your dog at the park on a Sunday morning, someone on the other side of the country might be dodging gunfire on their way to work. Safety is one of those issues that varies dramatically depending on where you live. Now, what about social mobility? It's the American dream, right? The idea that if you work hard enough you can rise to the top. But recent studies show that social mobility in the United States has actually stagnated over the past few decades. It's becoming harder for people born into poverty to climb out, while the wealthy are still passing down their fortunes. Imagine growing up in a small town, working 3 jobs, and still struggling to pay for college. It's tough. And as the cost of living continues to rise, it's not looking like that dream is becoming a reality for many. How about the cultural landscape? America is still a melting pot of cultures, and that's one of its best features. The diversity, the food, the festivals, there's no place like it. But here's the catch. With all that diversity comes tension. Social and political polarization has reached new highs, and it feels like we're all living in different realities. So while America can still offer a lot of cultural experiences, it's also an environment where tensions can sometimes boil over. It's like having an amazing dinner party, but everyone's arguing over which side of the political fence they're on. So, is America still the best country to live in? Well, it's complicated. The United States offers incredible opportunities, but it also comes with unique challenges. From the economy to healthcare, education, and safety, it's clear that things are changing. But the question is, what are you willing to compromise on? Is the American dream still worth chasing, or is it time to look elsewhere for a better quality of life? Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'll be back with another video soon, exploring new hot topics. Stay tuned, and remember, always question the status quo.